and I'll count us in.
I'll just keep talking, Stan. You fucking I know this.
All righty, and C2C Radio live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Corner to Corner Wrestling Radio. I'm Stan Grubb, my tag team partner this evening, Rob Hefner. What's up, man? Rob, that's your cue.
Hola,
You're supposed to say hello.
Hola,
There you go.
Hello.
What's going on, man? How was your weekend?
Oh, it was delightful.
Yeah? Was it a dream?
It was a dream that I wrestled with for a while. I mean,
Wow. Appreciate you picking that up, man. I hate to leave those really, really simple puns out there and never get them picked up. Brian's really good about leaving them out there. Brian is not with us this evening. He's tied up. So, hey, I figured, what
not
better...
Not physically tied up. Now, don't get weird.
Why you always got to take it there, man? Why is it always got to get all funky like that?
Well, you're the ones like, he's tied up. Like, I mean...
Well, yeah, he's busy. I mean, why you got to make it all weird?
What he does is what he... I mean, that's his business.
Hey, if he wants to be physically tied up, that's his call. What he does in his personal time, none of my affairs, none of my accord.
Yeah, we don't kink shame here, Stan.
That's right. That's right. C2C is a safe space, sort of, kind of, maybe.
Oh, it is not a safe space. It is a bring it and be able to bring it and take it.
Wow. Mark's going to fit right in here.
Yeah, I like it. Let's go.
So we talked about it for 2 weeks now. We've been promoting it, putting it up on our Twitter and our Facebook and the website. If you go to c2cradioshow.com right now, you can get the link to the show we're going to be talking to Mark James about, which is UPW Uncensored. It's October 7th. And there's an official coupon code that he gave us. It's Brutality. Gets you 15% off. But we've been teasing it, and here he is. He is here now with us, the one and only, the Brute, Mark James. Mark, welcome to Corner, sir.
Hey, guys. I appreciate you having me. Sorry to jump in during your intro and everything, but it just seemed like a good time. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for the warm introduction, and the Rob, it's nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.
So this should be fun, man. Stan, we haven't talked in like years almost. So
yeah. Let's see. There was PW 24/7 Radio. There was Beyond Ringside. There was Shoot Finish.
Man.
So
it seemed like we were way ahead of the podcast thing. Well, we were way ahead of a lot of the stuff that was going on. That's so prevalent now in the world of wrestling, especially. But man, we were doing this stuff again, like 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I noticed when I was pulling different information pieces up, I was actually looking for a video, and you mentioned this before we went on air, that you had scrubbed the Internet of Things, and I'm going to ask you about it in a few. But I was looking for a match that you had that we watched as it happened, because it was two people that we had met through Twitter. It was Joey Image and yourself. And I remember watching that thinking, Christ, I think Joey just got his head knocked off. And
yeah,
I remember the stream like buffering after that and wondering, good God, is he still alive?
I think that was on Ustream.
Yeah, that was the Ustream days of Power Pro, I believe it was.
Yeah, Power Pro. So all that stuff, like Jimbo would have on the J-Ops production stuff that he has, like, and it's very little. It's like a couple of teasers that he did and some like ring production trailer things and a couple of I think it's got a few matches. It's got like the cage match. It's got the TLC match with the Dudley's gimmick that I was doing at the time, which was terrible. And then Yeah, so there's not really a lot from back then, and most of the stuff that we have was either Ustream or DVDs or what have you. But there, like YouTube wasn't as big a deal, I guess, for us back then as everything else. And really, all that came because of Caprice Coleman, or a lot of that really came because of Caprice Coleman. Caprice was talking to Foley, or Dick Foley at the time. People have heard, Mick Foley probably, talk shit about him. But the guy, he ran a really good promotion for a long time in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina. So, I mean, he's got a little bit of credit. But anyway, but Caprice was talking to Foley about, the promotion and everything else, and like what he's doing for the wrestlers there, because we had a ton of talent coming through there. Like Trevor Lee started there. He won't ever put the promotion over because him and Foley had a fucking falling out. But Trevor started there. You know what I mean? Like Kai Tyson, who was AIWF champion for a little bit, like he's still doing it. Who else went through there? I mean, Caprice was there.
Cedric
Gunner
Alexander
was there before he went to Cedric was there a bunch. Or Andrew Everett was there. Let's see, a ton of guys. We were just, I don't know. We were kicking ass back in the day. It was fun until we lost the movie theater, and then we lost the theater. It all kind of went to shit. And
that was such a cool venue for you guys.
Yeah, dude. If you have the opportunity to run in a place like that, because it's theater seating, and then we have the ring. Like we literally drilled out parts of the concrete down by where the screen was, so the ring would fit level. And then we knocked out, we made entrances that would go behind the movie screen, and then we could walk through that, and we knocked out a part of the wall to go into the other theater. It was only a 2-theater place. And in the other theater, that's where we would change at, or we would have like comedy shows and shit like that all winter. But we were running bi-weekly there. And then anytime they had pay-per-views or WWE had something, we would do like a pre-show show for the before the pay-per-view. And then the fans would just stay and kind of hang out in the theater and watch like Mania. Like I think we watched, what was it, 25? Whatever. The first one that Michaels and Baker had it.
Yeah, that's 25.
Yeah. So like 350 people in a movie theater watching that together, just hanging out, after Power Pro had a wrestling show. And like we were just doing crazy shit like that in North Carolina, and nobody else was doing it, So it was like something that kind of set us apart. We were doing women's first blood matches back then. We had a suicide steel cage match. Like we weren't afraid to push the envelope. Power Pro was just a special, man, really, really special place. I don't think I've ever, I haven't found anything like it again. It was
Power Pro was just unique. Its delivery was good. The gimmicks were, some of the gimmicks were a little bit something, terrible. But yeah, I mean, horrible. But Jim you could tell that Jim had a vision of what he was trying to do. And it wasn't just, we want to be like everybody else in the indie world. We want to actually do something different. So he gave it his spin. He did what he had to do. And there was a lot of really good wrestling in general on the cards.
Yeah, I mean, we had some good wrestlers. Like there was a lot of talent that came through. Sean Denny and Trevor Lee and Brandon Day and guys from up in Virginia way that were coming down and wrestling pretty regularly. And we had Moses Manson was there, Scrapyard Dog, and me, who's whatever, and then Tito Rain and Bam and all those guys. I mean, we were bringing in a lot of the local guys that have been around for a really long time. It was really old school wrestling, but the goal there, it was very ECW, the way Manson and I always talked about it when we were booking stuff. We were very ECW. We were going to accentuate all the positives as much as we could for every single person that we had there, because not everybody was a great wrestler. Not everybody was a great character. but we could make it all work if we put the right people with the right people, you know. So we could cover the shitty wrestlers if we had good characters with them, that we could do some good, cool production stuff and make something work. So that's what we did. A lot of misdirection. We did. We filmed everything. It was behind the scenes shit. I'm sure, like, Jim's got 30 hard drives full of just random stuff that nobody's ever seen.
Jeez.
Doing from back then, booking meetings, and we did the Power Pro radio show that got me fucked out of a WWE tryout. That was smart. We did. We were just doing whatever back then because we wanted content, and we didn't understand social media because it wasn't like it is now. Like, it was basically just Twitter, and YouTube was just like really starting to get going for a lot of people, but Jim wasn't really using it very well, and I didn't know shit about it, so I stayed out of it. I was just a Twitter guy. But yeah, like, it wasn't like it is now. Like, if we had TikTok and all that shit back then, Jesus, it'd be ridiculous. The stuff we had all over the place. The Wrestling with Unicorns page, all of the stuff that guy did, we've been doing that years ago, like stuff like that. It was crazy. So anyway, but yeah, man, it was some really good times and a lot of good people, and unfortunately some of them aren't with us anymore, and that sucks to think about, but it's still cool to see a couple of us kind of kicking around. Like, Scotty Matthews is still wrestling, and Ali is still wrestling, and myself, and stuff like that. So we got a couple guys that are still kind of kicking around at a decent level. I wouldn't say a high level, but a decent level. Around the area at least.
It's interesting because when we first met back in 2010, 2011, somewhere in that, maybe 2009. Shit. You were neck deep in it. I mean, you were literally hand in hand with the booking of that company. You were doing podcasts. You were doing Ustream. You had so many things going on and I thought about it the other day. I've never really asked you, how the hell did you get started with all of this?
Like, wrestling in general?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's almost embarrassing that I've never asked you that.
Oh, well, because it's not it's a story. There's a story. There's always a story. And mine's always kind of weird. But I started watching when I was a kid, obviously, just like everybody else. First thing I remember was like Hogan and Iron Sheik back in the day, like the birth of Hulkamania. I was a huge Hulkamaniac when I was a kid. And, I know better now, but still. I was big into that. So 80s wrestling and, growing up in that time frame. But then I've always gravitated towards the bruisers, like the Finleys, and the Arn Andersons, Ole Andersons, those kind of guys. So I've kind of, taken to that liking for myself. But the way I got into wrestling itself is I was sleeping on a guy's couch because I had just gotten into some trouble after I got out of the Marine Corps. And I was, just trying to get my life together and shit like that. And then two of the guys that were living there said they were going to training, and I just tagged along. And that was really it. So I go out there to B3 training, which was Vinny Vane and Vax out in, what was it? Whiteville, North Carolina? No. Little Washington. That's where it was. Little Washington, North Carolina. Podunk ass, middle of nowhere fucking place out by Greenville. Sorry, I can curse on you, right? Okay.
Absolutely, yes. We do not censor here, sir.
All right. You said you still worked with Eddie some, and I know he's big on like the hell damn ass thing, but I just curse a lot.
Oh yeah. When we were working with BeyondRingside.com for a period, and it was always hashtag hell damn ass. there, and we kind of got tired of it. Not working with Eddie.
Yeah.
We liked working with Eddie, but we got tired of the censored aspect.
No, I could see how you get tired of working with Eddie. No, I'm just kidding. I love Eddie. But yeah, so that's how it was, man. So I went out to train with them one day, and I jumped in the ring, and after they were done with all their shit, and the guy made me sign a waiver, and I got in there and I started running the ropes like a dumbass, and didn't know what I was doing, and I had my back rolled first time I hit the ropes, and it rolled right up the back of my neck, and it snapped my neck forward, and I thought I broke my neck again, because I'd already done it once playing football, so that would have been fun. But anyway, so I sat there for a few minutes and thought about myself and what I did. And the guys kind of calmed me a little bit. And then I got pissed off and I was like, fuck you. Just show me how to fucking do it right. And, let's get on with it. I was like, either, you're gonna shit talk me or you're gonna be a trainer. Like, what's up? So that was kind of how it happened, man. Like I went in there and was an idiot, and then I got pissed off at myself and, taught myself into just training. And yeah, I always wanted to do it. And what's fucked up is I grew up in Sanford, North Carolina. Okay. So if anyone knows where Sanford, North Carolina is, it's literally 15 minutes away from Cameron, North Carolina, the home of the Hardys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were running Omega shows when I was like in high school and stuff in the Marine Corps. And I had no clue whatsoever about Omega being there, because I would have definitely jumped on board of that. It would have been a whole different life for me, because my dumb ass wouldn't have went to the Marine Corps. I would have just started wrestling out of like school and been a total idiot. And I probably would have never met my wife now. And that would have been a shitty life. So I'm kind of glad I didn't do it. But man, like I had such an opportunity back then to get in like with Omega, because look where like literally every one of those guys went. They all got signed basically, except Marty. Or Marty. So.
Yeah, we in the Virginia area here in Central Virginia, we knew that there were local promotions, but you had to be fortunate enough for them to come to like the high school or the middle school for them to come out here, and it was let's see, it was UCW. I'm trying to think of all the different companies. Maryland Championship Wrestling came out here a couple of times. Rob, can you think of any other companies that was? I mean, back then.
It was UCW. It was MCW. I remember the NWA came to a small town in West Virginia that I was traveling through. I remember going to my grandparents' house and like, there's a wrestling ring down there. And my grandfather was like, well, maybe after dinner we'll come down and see what's going on. And so I go down, and by that point it's over, because my grandfather knew what he was doing. And you could see the ring skirts at NWA, and I was like, mother bitch. Oh. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty much MCW in the later years, in like most recent time, UCW. And then I think it was an offshoot of the NWA at the High Top Middle School that we went to see with the Super Ninja.
The Ninja Warrior.
That's where I met Wahoo McDaniel.
Nice. Wahoo was like an uncle to my old tag partner. And
really?
Yeah, like Jimmy Parker was my old tag. His dad, Les Parker, was jobber for the Crockett's down here a lot, and he worked with Wahoo and all them all the time. So Jimmy kind of grew up in the business, which worked out well. He's a really good wrestler. And when we were tagging together, obviously helped out the guy that knew what the hell he was doing all the time. So always a plus there. But yeah, small world, man. NWA was such a prevalent thing in the South. I grew up in Jersey, so when I grew up, everything was WWF. Until I moved to North Carolina, I think in like '87, it was. And I think the first NWA thing I saw was whenever you guys remember, whenever I'm terrible with all these, but when Flair and Luger wrestled in Maryland, and Luger got busted open and they stopped the match. You guys remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
with
like
the medical
first
committee.
Yeah, because it was like the commission there won't allow blood in Maryland, and all that. That was the whole story and that the angle that they did with it was great. It hooked me so fast when I was a kid. I'm like, I think like 6, 7 at the time, and like I said, I was always into WWF, but that was the first time I ever saw like NWA. It was the first time we were coming down to North Carolina to visit my aunt and uncle before we actually moved down here. Oh, we ended up buying our house and shit. But anyway, but yeah, so that's like my introduction to like wrestling itself and into the NWA, that kind of stuff. But that's all I ever knew until after I got out of the Marine Corps, really. And then like literally fell in with these guys and they opened my world up to all this indie wrestling stuff. So like I had no idea. Besides like Ring of Honor, probably up until like late '90s, because I missed everything out in California too. And when I was stationed out in California, like I could have got in with G and like SoCal Pro and all that stuff when they were just starting out. Man, I miss so many missed opportunities. Really good places to work at. But,
So you mentioned earlier that during the Power Pro podcast that you got into a bit of hot water with WWE. You got some feedback that kind of cost you a tryout. What happened there?
So allegedly, what happened was what I was told anyway. So we were doing some stuff with Johnny Lightning back then. Johnny was really good friends with Teddy Long. Teddy Long was always kind of keeping his eye on stuff that was going on with Power Pro. And we were trying to do a thing where we were working together with a promotion down in Georgia that Teddy was working with too at the time. So, and doing kind of a talent swap between the territories because, obviously people get stale here, they get stale down there. We can do some different stuff and keep people fresh. The old school thought process, right? And well, anyway, Johnny Ace was doing a seminar up in like Hendersonville coming up soon, and I was set to go to that seminar. And then we were doing some Power Pro shows, and one of the radio shows, like fans would call in, they would talk to us about stuff, and they asked questions. And at the time, like WWE was trash. It was horrible. Mm-hmm. Like everything they were doing was just boring. You know what I mean? And we were very vocal about it back in the day. I think the whole group really was kind of vocal about it back in the day. And I don't know, man. So somebody called in and I just said my piece and that's how it went to. And then somehow like that audio got to Johnny Ace. And when it was my match during the seminar, he just like got up and walked out of the room.
Damn.
And then booked the guy that I wrestled for Raw that week. So yeah, that happened.
I remember we were on Beyond Ringside, and I remember you saying, "Oh shit, I just got a message," and you told us about it on the air. I was like, "Oh crap."
Yeah, it was. I said a lot of, and I don't even think it was like a stupid thing, but it's one of those, like young wrestlers now. I try and talk to them about how much they criticize so many things online, and you just say shit online, and you can't take that back sometimes. And I didn't have a filter back then. I just said whatever. Honestly, I was going through a divorce, and I was like in a really shitty place, and I was drinking all the time, and a lot of really dumb stuff. And I just didn't care. So I was just, my life was wrestling, and that's all I was focused on because it was the only thing that could like drown out all the bullshit that was going on. Because otherwise, like literally, I was basically homeless. I was like sleeping on a guy's couch for a while. I lost my house. I lost, whatever, all my shit and divorce. So, you're just trying to get back on your feet, and then, so that's what I did. I traveled, man. I wrestled from like Wednesday to Sunday. We were going down to Myrtle Beach, and I was working with like Robert Gibson and that little like really small thing that he was trying to do down there for like a year. But we were doing that, and then we were going over to Virginia on like Thursdays, and then Fridays we were over in like wherever, sometimes up in Ohio, sometimes down in Tennessee, like just wherever we can get work, and just running the road because I had nothing else to do. I didn't have shit. I didn't have a job. I had nothing else going on. Like just wrestle, and that was it. And it was cool. It was a lot of fun, but at some point, you gotta get your life together, and then you also realize like once I got into Power Pro and we were doing things so often there, it kind of helped me settle down a lot. So I was at least at a central place all the time, and then like I said, I was just in a spiral until I really when I met my wife, when I met Rhiannon, that's what like changed it. You know what I mean? Not really fixed it, but definitely like saved me from the spiral. Helped me pull my head out of my ass and get my life together. As much as it is together now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've seen a lot of stuff, man. You've done a lot of shit. I mean, if you think about it, let's see, 2010, you were, what was that, 6 years in the business at that point?
No, I got in 2002.
Okay.
Actually. All right. 2001. Sorry.
Oh, wow. I'm stealing time from you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Because those first like 7 years. Anyway, so.
Stan has a way of offending people and smiling about it. So be careful.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. It's cool. Yeah. The first like 6-7 years were shit anyway. And like I don't know. I don't really count it because I was, I don't want to say half-ass trained, but I was kind of half-ass trained, and nothing against Vinny and Vax. Like they did a good job for what they do, but I got kind of fed up with kind of the way they were doing it because I thought I knew better, and I was starting to get bookings and shit like that. So I just like went on my own, and then I got mentored by a bunch of guys, and I got lucky. I fell in with like I did a few shows with like Terry Taylor, and I got to help him with booking and like learn his thought process about a lot of stuff. And that was a lot of fun. And I got to work with like good veterans in the area here. And man, I've just gotten lucky. I've been around a lot of really smart people in the wrestling business. And I've had a lot of guys that like have been able to not really give me their ear, but kind of give me their from to name drop a little bit. I'll pick these back up for later, but like Manny Fernandez and Terry Funk, and like back in the day, like I used to ride with Baby Doll to shows. Like I would drive her and Greg Valentine and I took a 14-hour drive up to like West Virginia, and like these are priceless opportunities to learn shit.
Yeah.
So that's all I was doing back in the day, man. That's all wrestling was. So it was just trying to learn more and talk to people and all that. So I've just been real lucky. Man. Fell into really cool situations.
So you were doing all of these things, and you've mentioned a few times that you try not to kind of count that period because it was you kind of playing catch up at points. Ultimately, right as you are coming into your own, you had just did the run with the Brutes, you and Jimmy. You were actually in a pretty solid spot from what I had seen from the outside. But then you retired. You kind of decided you were going to take it and be done. And I remember because we had just started doing commentary. I was like, shit, I don't get to call one of his matches. What was it that made you retire, man?
I could not. Well, there was a lot of things. First off, Physically, like I wasn't in great shape. Obviously, at the time I was like 350, and I had this thing going on with my shoulder, and like there was a shooting pain that was going down like through my neck and down my right arm all the time. My right arm got numb a lot, and I kind of got to a point where I first off I couldn't perform to the level that I expected for myself, which isn't it's not a high bar to start with, but I do have expectations on what I can do and what I should do. I couldn't do the simple things anymore without feeling like I was dying. That's the time I needed to call it quits. But really, like where it hit me was I was sitting in a locker room in Fayetteville, North Carolina, at the back of this place called Wars. And I knew it was coming anyway. And it was like 2 days ago in 2017 because I saw him in my memories. And I was wrestling Ethan Case that night, and I was so looking forward to this match. But man, I fucking was not ready for it, and it sucks. I hate it. I really don't. Honestly, I think we can tear the house down as soon as he gets back square away. But anyway, man, I was just a schlub. I couldn't move. Like I was out of shape. Like I couldn't breathe. There was a part in the match I thought I was going to die. Everybody else thought I was going to die. Like it was just bad. And like the worst part is like I don't know if you know like these guys Jackson Drake and like Jay Malachi and Griff Garrison and like Marcus Cross and guys like that. Like they're there. These are kids that just getting into it at the time with Firestar, and like they're there sitting front row, and they're looking up to like Uncle Brute in the ring, looking like he's about to die. Like none of this is a good example for anything. My family's there, like my kids there. None of this is a good example for anything. You know what I mean? So, like. My wife's gotten to the point at that point. She was like, "Well, fuck it, you did it to yourself." So like, she didn't care. No, she did, but she didn't care. She knew I was fine. That's all. But yeah, like it was just a bad situation. So I grabbed the mic, and I knew that was going to be my last time there, at least. And I knew I was kind of hanging it up anyway. It just wasn't fun. It's really it, man. I just didn't feel like I belonged anymore. Like the type of wrestler that I was, I felt like I kind of been passed by a little bit, and the younger generation, like I felt like I was taking a spot from somebody. You know what I mean? There's a time in a veteran's life, I guess, when you're in this business where you get to a point that you're taking someone else's opportunity. You know what I mean? And you feel like, no, it's my spot, and it's not. You're getting nostalgia bookings. It's bullshit. You're taking somebody else's opportunity. There's a young kid that deserves that spot more than you do because you're not putting in the fucking effort. And at the time, I wasn't. So I thought it was best to get out. I also needed to focus on like career and stuff like that at the time. I was hoping to get like this big raise. Everything just kind of fell apart. It was really the next like 3 years of my life after that were really rough, and rough for my family, rough for me. Just not all great. So a lot of transition, a lot of like trying to find my way, and a lot of stuff from home and things like that. But and then me being a pain in the ass because I needed like a creative outlet and stuff like that. It was just weird not having anything. So I'm like running my wife through the ringer trying to find different. Oh, maybe I can do blogs this week. Maybe I can do this week. You know what I mean? Like I'm driving her nuts. And I'm getting. I started getting some acting gigs. That was pretty cool. Ended up getting into a web series with my buddy Nick D and feature film last year called Heaven, the web series. So I got more into acting things. So again, it's it was a time where I needed to make a transition because physically I couldn't keep up. Mentally, I just wasn't into it. I just felt jaded about the business altogether. So I got rid of everything. I didn't watch it really. Like, we didn't even watch it around the house much during that time period either. Like, my son did, but nobody else really. It was weird.
Yeah, one of the coolest things is seeing the pictures of your son get in the ring.
Man, I love that. He lives to be in that ring when he can get in the ring. Otherwise, he lives to be in video games all the time. So, but yeah, man, it's really cool whenever, if he comes out to a show with me now and can get in there for a little bit. He's very respectable about the ring and respectful. Like, he won't get in without permission and all that stuff. So, like, sometimes he'll miss opportunities to get in there and he gets upset. But I need to take him out of training more. He's pretty comfortable though. I'm telling you, he takes a better bump than most of the guys I don't know, and his psychology is pretty damn solid. I don't know how he'll. Well, I'll tell you his matches. He's definitely a good guy, but as far as his, like, booking psychology goes, it's pretty solid. He does a good job for a.
How do you handle that if he comes to you and says, "Hey, this is what I want to do with my life"?
Oh, if he wants to wrestle?
Yeah.
Oh, he's never said anything different.
Oh, okay.
Legit, he wants to be a wrestler or a gamer or both, preferably. Like, that's all he ever wants to. Like, all he's ever to me that.
Well, hell, this industry is filled with that. Yeah. Sorry, Rob.
Sounds like he's going to be on up, up, down, down.
Probably at some point. Like, I mean, he's just into all of it, and he plays a ton of games, so he's big into that. But as far as wrestling goes, I mean, he's constantly. We're not in the ring, but I swear, I got a king size bed, and this kid has worn that thing out. Just wrestling this Captain America that he's had since he was like a little kid, since he was like 2 years old. So he's wrestled that thing basically since he was like 4.
I think we've all done that, but
oh yeah.
I mean, one thing that I have to say is I think you should be commended for having enough self-awareness to say, you know what, I need to step aside. I mean, because so many times we see in all kinds of walks of life, especially in wrestling and everything, you see the person that just stays too long, or the person just, they want to hold the spotlight because they just don't want to give it up or for whatever. So I think it can't be overstated that, you found that in yourself, like, you know what, I need to go. I mean, not saying that you were at that point, but you knew that, you know what, there's other people here. And so I just thought that should have been said, because so many times you see, I mean, Ric Flair, I mean, people that just, Hulk Hogan, I mean, that just stay too damn long.
Sure.
So yeah. And
but man, there's nothing like it though. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a feeling really that you can create that's like wrestling is. Because it's every sport you can imagine. It's all the theater you can imagine, and it's all like right in the palm of your hands. And you can tell this incredible story if you have the right tools and use the right tools in the ring. So like, and you can do it in so many different ways. Like, there's not a perfect way to draw this picture, especially now. Now there's thousands of ways. Like, AEW's opened up a million different avenues for wrestling, including pushing WWE to be better. And I really think, like, even now, this is going to be the best time. I was telling my wife earlier, I think the next like 3-4 years are going to be incredible for that level of wrestling. Mainly because now you're starting to see what we saw during the Monday Night Wars. Now you're starting to see the people actually switch to both brands. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, well, we're tired of this here. Let's go to the other one. and until that really started, where people were, not just leaving WWF, whatever at the time, and going to WCW, like when people started going from WCW to WWF, now you're starting to see a little bit more edge over there. You started to see a little bit more like the attitude came into it, and WWF became what they are now. So I really think this is going to be a great thing for the industry, where so many people have that ability that, hey, AEW is a better place for me. Let me go there. Like wherever the fuck Dolph Ziggler is going to land soon at some point. I don't know. He may go to Japan for a little bit. I can see him definitely going to AEW. You know what I mean? Like he's a guy that he's going to kill wherever he goes. It doesn't matter. And he's going to do better than he did in WWE, as crazy as that could possibly be. Because he had a hell of a run there. You know what I mean? But it could be a great thing for his career.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, like you said, is the bumpers come off in AEW. And that's one thing that we've been saying on this show is so many people are so anti whatever. And I'm like, it is such a great time to be a wrestling fan, because if you like AEW or you have like, you're, our guy, our age or whatever. And like, you love the WCW feel, you got AEW has that WCW feel. And then you got WWE, who's just always WWE. And so, you got that. And I know exactly what you mean when you said about, it's hard to catch that feeling. I did theater for years, and Stan knows, like I actually traveled with a group called Up With People for a year, traveled around the world, did a 2-hour live musical show in 26 states in 6 months in 9 different countries in a year. And some cities we'd have, I may have 60 people in the audience. Half of them were comped,
Yeah.
And then we went to European cities or other cities, and you have 10,000 people in the arena, and then to come home and to do community theater. Oh, was that not an ego hit? But yeah,
you wonder about that too, especially with the guys like sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry,
no.
But like for the show that I have coming up, we were talking about earlier, the UPW one. Like guys like Bobby Fish is going to be there, and Alex Sting is going to be there, and like Bobby's worked AEW, he's worked WWE. Like these are thousands of people in the place, and he's coming now. He's working, gyms that are fitting like 500, 600, stuff like that. So it's definitely an ego hit. I can see where you would see that, and definitely understanding that with what you were saying there. But in the same respect, it's still the same four posts, and it's still the same ring ropes for us. And whether you're in, honestly, I have sometimes more fun with smaller crowds than I do with some of the bigger ones. Some of the bigger ones, like you get lost in the moment a little bit, and you just go to but some of the little crowds, you tend to play a little bit more, and you'll ad lib more, and you'll have fun, and you can kind of play with the crowd a little bit more sometimes. So both have their advantages, I guess. Sorry again to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. You're the guest, so you can talk whenever you want. But yeah, I mean, and I will say, of all the shows that we've seen, like we made the trek to Tennessee and saw Scenic City. We've seen the Ducks, and all these people all over, and it's just like I agree. Sometimes the smaller shows where you actually get to interact with the talent, and they get to feed off of you. It makes it fun. I remember we went to Nova Pro, and Stan was sitting there, and one of the wrestlers got up. I think it was Logan Easton LaRue got up, told Stan, "Get up." And
he stole my chair. Never forgive him for
that. And Stan looked at him. He's like, "But I paid for that chair."
He just looked at me like, did he just really say that? It was cool.
Man, he was an incredible wrestler too. He's getting towards the end. I saw he's doing his last few matches, I think.
Yeah, that's a shame. There's so many guys. The Ducks are another great example of that. That I always thought that they would be just tremendous on a national stage. And for
Uh,
whatever reason, it just never happened.
uh, I don't even know. They don't even know. Actually, I just saw Lance a couple days ago. Honestly, I just saw him in like cruise line and just talking to him. And Killjoy still wrestles all over the place. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
not Killjoy. That's till the day he dies. He's the next George South. Whatever this generation, he's their George South. Is Rob Killjoy. I'm calling that now. But anyway, yeah, saw them. Colby's killing it. Like he's in NWA. He's got the junior heavyweight championship there now.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, obviously they're doing good. If Lance wouldn't have gotten colon cancer,
Yeah.
he would have been doing his thing. But he worked for a year with colon cancer, and they had a damn tryout during that time, like a month beforehand, I think. Somewhere, I don't remember off the top of my head, but anyway, they had a big match somewhere, and like that's where he really started feeling some pain from his colon cancer and all that stuff. So he's finally done with all that now, and just like normal life, and it's great, and he's happy as life can be, which is debatable some days, but like he's doing good, and he's kind of happy to be away from the business for a little bit, and like that happens for a while, and and the bug just hits you, I guess. I don't know. With me coming back to it, when Manson died, that was a big thing. I started getting a lot of calls for like uh, tribute shows and things like that for Moses fans, and everybody would call me. So I started going back and doing some of those. I think my first show back was we did a benefit for Lance for the cancer benefit. We raised like $200 for him or something like that. But I did like a battle royal spot. So like that was like a thing, and people saw that. So then I started getting some messages, and then Manson died, and Shockwave was doing a benefit show for him, and I wrestled Cage Seidel out there as like my first match, I guess, back and things like that. But yeah, I was doing that, and I started training at Firestar and working with LeBron Cozone, who's just an amazing trainer, the best one in the area. Like literally, if you're around North Carolina, like western part of the state, I guess, over by Bryan, you're looking for a wrestling school. Firestar Pro Wrestling, highly recommended. But yeah, so I started working with those guys, and I did some, behind the scenes stuff, doing some agent work, working with some of the younger talent, Alexander Moss, and Jackson Drake, and Jay Malachi, and Grant Watts, and Morgan Dash, and guys like that. Like really, really talented, young wrestlers they had there. And after a few shows in the back, we kind of figured out a way for me to, get into the shows a little bit more. And then, things just worked out really well, man. I met up with this guy, Alex Evans, and Alex is just really awesome dude. And we hit it off well. He's really young in the business, but he's an older guy. He's like mid-30s, but he's tough, and he's got tenacity, and he's like determined. And man, I see a lot of myself in this dude. And we work really, really well together. So it's really cool to see like be able to jump and grab along and get back on the road a little bit. Very little, very, very little bit. As local as I can possibly be, minus like a couple 3-hour drives to some shows. But yeah, doing the brutality thing, which is again back to October 7th in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've got UPW, and it's Brutality Inc., myself and Alex Evans, against the Divine Dynasty of AC Divine and Dynamite, Damian Jackson. And that's going to be a hell of a match, man. We've been putting those kids through the ringer for months. Literally everywhere. I've beaten up Mike Devine is related to AC, and I've beaten up Mike. I've beaten up AC. We've like jumped them in the middle of nowhere. We've hit them with chairs from out of nowhere. Like we just beat the hell out of these kids. So I don't know, and we'll see if they got enough guts to come and step in the ring with us on the 7th and get their receipt. And I doubt it. We're gonna beat the hell out of them. We're gonna be first UPW tag champs. It's gonna be brutality. You can go ahead and chalk that up right now.
Wow, it's pretty bold.
Yeah. Oh, very bold. Very confident. Very confident. So.
I mean, you got some reason to be confident, though. You mentioned you came back. I mean, you got in pretty ridiculous shape. What did you say beforehand? You said you thought you might have got up to 350. What are you weighing in at now?
I am 245.
Jesus. I'm embarrassed.
Yeah. Well, dude, all right. So I had to go vegan for a little while.
Yeah.
I had like some gastro issues, and I had to get my gallbladder taken out. Mm-hmm. And but it took a few weeks to get the surgery scheduled and all that stuff. So I literally had to completely stop the way I was. And I started buying a bunch of like the vegan stuff in the frozen food section, just to try to see what I liked and what I didn't like, because textures and all that shit. But I found enough things that like I could eat, and I was cool with it, man. Like it felt like I was eating regular food, and it tasted really good, and I could season things how I needed to do to get it to be good. And man, I just got my eating back right, and lost a ton of weight. Like it just fell off. I didn't go to the gym. Nothing. It was nothing like that. I got this job where I deliver bread to like grocery stores and restaurants and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, there's a good amount of heavy lifting in that too. So that's helped out. I've turned that into a workout while I'm at work. So, for 6-8 hours a day, I'm, moving and doing all that stuff. So yeah, man, I feel really good. I feel great. I had shoulder surgery, so I got that fixed. I had a torn labrum that was really, really bad. And so got all that fixed, replaced my bicep, got that screwed into my shoulder, now like anchored in and all that stuff. So we're good to go until my left one gets out.
I mean, you're moving like you're 10 years younger, dude. I watched your match with the Infinite Man, formerly known as Timmy Lou Retton. And damn, dude.
I feel really good. Man, that match, all right, so hear me out. That match should have been so much better. It was like 30-something degrees in the place that we were wrestling that night. The fans were like literally, I don't know if you saw in the match, the fans were in blankets, dude. Like they had coats on and blankets, and like it was October or something like that in a fairgrounds building, and it was freezing fucking cold. So Tim and I, like, we could barely move doing this match, dude. But yeah, I feel really good. I appreciate that. I'm really agile for an old guy. I'm 44 now, but I move just like I did in Power Pro. Sometimes better, honestly. I've got a really good understanding of the wrestling business now. Like I think, the way I think about things lends well to some of the new style of things. So I work well with some of the younger kids. I'm receptive to their stuff, which helps a lot, because honestly, like working with a lot of the guys from Firestar that I've already named, and guys like Blade Brown, who's like a really good young talent out of this area, who you guys should see up in Virginia a lot, too. You guys should see the Divines up there. You should see like Blade Brown up there with Emmy. Is that right? Do you guys ever make it down there?
The Divine Dynasty I've heard a little bit about. Blade Brown, the name sounds familiar. I'll be honest, I have not seen him. I mean, I've seen his stuff out on social media, but I haven't really seen much of him.
I'll send you a match.
Okay.
Of me
Great.
and him. It was pretty fun. So, but yeah, he's a really, really good young talent. I mean, there's just so many, dude. There's so many great kids. And then on top of that, like, there's guys, and not the shout out podcast and your podcast, but I'm gonna the guys from Live Laugh Larry, which is another really awesome wrestling podcast that they do interviews and stuff like that too. Different from you guys, obviously, but still really good stuff. I talk to them a lot, and they're super creative guys. They're like helping me on my merch stuff. A lot of like Daniel does a lot of those designs. They help out with a lot of my video editing now. Christian is just super intelligent guy. Helps out with a lot of creative stuff. Because again, I've been for a while, so a lot of promotions when they talk to me, they're like, "Well, what do you feel like doing?" So I'll pitch ideas and things like that. So it's cool to have, there's like my little creative group now that I've formed, almost weird out of nowhere, but we've all kind of become friends and we talk all the time and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then like the cool part about that is like we can come up with this idea and form it, and I can tell my wife, and she can tell me if fans actually give a shit about it or not, and then we'll do it or don't. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, like she's my barometer for it, because like first off, I know she's not going to bullshit, and secondly, she's been with me for almost 15 years listening to me bitch about wrestling. So if anybody knows how I feel about it, she does. So yeah, that's kind of how the whole thing works now, and it's really cool because even though I'm doing some tag stuff with Alex, we're currently the Firestar Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions, soon to be the UW Tag Team Champions, first ever, by the way. But yeah, so we're soon to have 2 titles in our first 6 matches, mind you. I just want to point that out. 6 matches together.
Wow. Pretty quick turnaround time to gel as a team.
Well, we don't screw around, man. First of all, like I'm a tag team specialist. I've been doing tag teams like literally almost my whole career. So super easy for me to jump into anybody and make it work. Secondly, Alex is coachable, and Alex actually cares. Like he wants to win. I haven't seen a guy want to win this bad and like really put the work in. He was driving from Raleigh down to Firestar 3 times a week for training. This dude is driving 2 hours a day to training, 2 hours back home, on top of his job, on top of working with his family and stuff like that. Like he wants it. You know what I mean? This guy puts in the work. So Alex and I gelled really quick. We became really good friends, and we worked, we're like a really solid unit at the ring. So again, our first 5 matches, we won a tag team title at Firestar Pro Wrestling, soon to be UPW Tag Team Champions. On top of that, I have my singles career as I'm the current Extreme Shock Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, also the current Excalibur Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. So things are going pretty well for me. I've been doing this again a year and a half, 2 years.
So between, what are you finding different about this run than your last run?
This run, I'm doing what I want. I think that's the biggest difference. Right. Last run, all the stuff I was doing with Jimmy was a lot of fun, but it was always like we were trying to make it work together. And Jimmy and I have very opposite ways of thinking. So like while we worked together really well in the ring, outside the ring, like we butted heads about a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And like his thoughts and style was different than my thoughts and style sometimes. So like it didn't work. But like, man, when we were in the ring, we were all the time. Great. But like, I don't think that helped the situation. And then like, again, we had some like Corey Duncan died. That kind of took the wind out of both of our sails. Jimmy, we had like hernia surgery. So that like stopped all our momentum as a tag team because he was out. And then I was just doing single stuff. And again, I weighed like 350 at the time and like didn't care. But it was, the worst part about it was, and I'll tell you the truth, like the main difference was the fact that I was old, grumpy asshole. I think that was the main difference. If I wasn't such an old grumpy asshole at the time, I probably would have stayed in and had a lot more fun with it. But I was an old grumpy asshole, so I just sat there in a corner, jaded, looking at all these young kids having a good time, and I was like, man, I don't fit in with these kids anymore. Why am I here? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I was just a dick, and I was stiff, for no reason, like clumsy and shit like that. Like it was just bad. And I was just jaded about where I was in the business at the time because whatever. It was like, it just wasn't necessary. And I just needed to get away. Because at the time I was doing it, again, that was 2017 from 2001. So that was like 16, 17 years straight running. You know what I mean? Like doing a lot of shit, running my family ragged, doing a lot of shit. Dragging them all over the road and everything else, so like they deserve time at home just as much, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, and there was a lot to it. And then even now, like I'd try, and again, like I said, I stay really local. I'm not trying to go a lot of places. Like I'm not that guy that's trying to get on TV. Although it'd be really cool if I got a contract, that'd be great. But like, it's not an active thing because I've got my family to worry about. I've got other responsibilities. And I'm a father first, and a parent first, and husband first a lot of times, even though I don't always make it feel that way. So, wrestling takes a lot of time. It sucks. So, but anyway, my wife just goes, "I will fight that bitch." That's my mistress. Like I won't cheat. I'll never cheat on anybody. You know what I mean? I'm just not that kind of guy. But like wrestling is my mistress, and my wife fucking hates that bitch.
Well, I mean, she's not exactly a stranger to it, though. She has a lot of interaction with your fans and maybe some of your detractors. I see it a little bit on Facebook from time to time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, she's just as bad, but she's like a house mama now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she's been around. You got to understand, my wife's been around the business. She was literally a baby. Like she's been in locker rooms and shit like that. Her family was in the business. Like she's been around her entire life. So like
she wasn't necessarily caught off guard.
Yeah. Like she wasn't some random person off the street that like never been to a wrestling show and then showed up one day and like got swept off her feet or something like that. She's been around the business for a while. And then like this whole thing should have never happened to begin with. I got hurt and she was a smart ass to me because like I tore my MCL in my left leg and my MCL and my PCL in a match I had that night at Power Pro. And instead of going to the damn hospital, my dumb ass went out to what was it, Andy's at the time, Highway 66 or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, I went out there to eat with everybody from the crew, limping around and all that shit. He was giving me hell for it. Like we never met before, but that was our introduction. You know what I mean? And it just worked out from there. And then what, 10 months after that, I finally realized we were actually dating. She knew it. I didn't. But,
wait, hold on. Back up. You realized you were dating?
Yeah, dude, I'm really oblivious. I don't know if you knew this. I had blinders on, dude. Again, that's all I did was wrestle. That's it. That's all I was thinking about was wrestling. And that was my, like, I needed to get away from life. And like me getting away from life was just submerging myself. I almost slept at the building in Power Pro. Like I had keys to the place. I would sit up in the Eagle's Nest, like messing with promo videos, and like we were doing production stuff all night, and I was coming up with angles and like writing down stuff for tournaments we were planning 6 months down the road. Like we had a setup, dude. Like this was a full-fledged fucking wrestling promotion. We were running. And that was everything I was submerged in at the time because it was the only thing that was going fucking right. Like throughout my life, like wrestling's been the one constant thing that usually went right. I usually fucked up everything else, and but that was the one thing I could usually rely on or whatever until I couldn't, Now I feel like I can. Now I don't feel like I'm taking a spot from somebody. And now I'm not the old jaded asshole wrestler anymore. And I'm, I work with all these young kids all the time. Man, there's so much freaking like it's insane how much like there's another huge generation of wrestlers coming out of the Mid-Atlantic area here soon that you guys are going to see everywhere. And it's ridiculous, like how talented these kids are comparatively to what we've seen in the past. And people can give them shit all they want to about being spotty and this and that, but man, they get it. They know the business. They're really smart. They're really technically sound. Like they're just really good. And I'm happy to be around them, be able to help and give some of my knowledge to a lot of these younger kids. And I think that's the biggest difference now. I think that's what's like really fun for me, being able to be creative and work with some young guys and, help them get to that next level. So, sorry guys, again, I just ramble. I'll just keep talking until somebody interrupts me or says something.
That's fine.
Listen to Stan.
I understand.
Damn. I mean, it's interesting because you've said it a few times. Grumpy old man in the grumpy old asshole, I think is what you said specifically in the locker room. And I remember when we were doing PW 24/7, when you actually signed off, you're like, you know what, I'm going to be stopping now, and you literally said, because I'm the grumpy asshole in the room. I was like, well, damn. Alrighty then.
Yeah. It's like I've always known when I didn't need to do it anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like whenever that time came and I was done with something, I was just done. So it. And and it's one of those, like, if you keep doing it, you're just gonna get bitter. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to get bitter about things, or like it's already past that point sometimes. And we were doing so much. We had shows 3-4 days a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was just so time consuming. Then on top of that,
it was a lot.
Yeah, so like there was just so much going on, and it was like it was helping me in a lot of ways because it was helping. I was getting my name out there on so many different medias, and it was helping get me attention in different fields than just wrestling sometimes, and that's cool. Like I said, I'm an actor. Like I try to get into whatever work I can get into that's like creative and like art based, like theater type stuff, because I love it. Right. It's just but yeah, like there was just so much, man, and it was fun, but it just got stale and it just got kind of repetitive, and like it was like wrestling on television was terrible at the time. Mm-hmm. It was just just not a great time in wrestling. And the best stuff going was on the indies. Mm-hmm. Sorry. The best stuff going was on the indies. And the best stuff that I saw at the time was Ring of Honor and Shikara and like PWG. And that's the stuff I cared about. And that's the stuff I couldn't find. It was like really, really hard to find where I was. And I like didn't get streams for it. I was like real big against streaming stuff because then I feel like you're fucking that small promotion. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to do that. But I was trying to get like their actual music tapes. And then again, like at the time, it was like RF Video was the place. And I'm not big on giving money to pedophiles, so I don't want to give Rob my money. I'm sorry, like just not a thing for me. I don't understand how he's still in business, but whatever. That'll probably get me.
Feinstein's always going to find a way. He's Teflon, dude. Whatever he doesn't seem to stick to him ever, and that's including even ripping off people at shows. Yeah,
it's ridiculous, man. And that's the carnage fuck out of the business. And that's well, my other thing too is like I don't care about getting the heat because the places that book me know that I just say shit, and they know that I don't have a filter. So like they understand there's going to be like there may be a little bit of blowback sometimes, but I never do anything that's morally incorrect. You know what I mean? Like anytime if I call somebody out, it's most times because they're being a fucking shitbag, and like I don't care. Like it's not going to affect me. I'm not trying to get a contract. So like when you fucked over that young wrestler that like is just starting out and had no idea that he did something wrong in your unwritten wrestling rule book that fucking means nothing nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever, whatever. Like I'm gonna take up for that kid as the veteran in the room because nobody else is doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care about blowback. I'm not gonna not get booked. If I don't get booked, I don't care. I'll sit at home. I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't fucking matter to me. Like it's one of those. So I'm okay being that guy now. Like I understand the need to be the old grumpy asshole sometimes and like use it for the right things. So like I'll be that guy. I'll be the one that calls out the shitty promoters, the carny bullshit, the old wrestlers that like need to hang it up, stuff like that. Like I'm not afraid to call those people out, and I don't care about blowback. Like it is. But anyway, I don't know how I got in that conversation. I just start talking about shit.
Stan likes to find the one little freckle of something and then be like, pick at it. Sometimes.
What do you mean?
He always has a way of finding one little nugget of knowledge and be like, oh, by the way, what about this?
Oh.
And since it's all down a rabbit hole, it's like, damn it, Stan, we did it again.
Oh, I mean, that's the whole point of this thing, though. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to get to know people. So it's cool. I just talk without you guys having to ask me questions. So Victor,
it does make it easy. I mean, I'm literally I've run through my whole sheet here, and I'm like, okay, well, that's all done. Okay.
Do you not have any more? Because I got other shit I can talk about. Look, this UPW
I've always got something.
There's an Eventbrite link, right? It's this Saturday, and if anybody's in the Raleigh area or Carolina, like you definitely need to come out to the show. I'm serious, man. Like I put over a lot of stuff that I'm with, but like this is a quality event, and like from top to bottom, from like the 4-way light heavyweight title match, which is Jay Malachi, Jackson Drake, Diego Hill, and Oliver Sawyer. Just for insane. Like Diego just came back from the West Coast over Progress. Like, please come back, chance everywhere else. Jay Malachi just came back from a WWE tryout. Jackson Drake just had Gabe Sapolsky out at one of the Firestar shows, watching him and Jay Malachi in their main event match. Like nice. Oliver Sawyer. I'm sorry, Oliver's not in this match. Oliver is wrestling. Manny Lowe is in that match, my fault. Oliver Sawyer is actually wrestling Bobby Fish at that show. And like, couldn't even say anything about that. Outstanding talent. But like Oliver Sawyer is another young up and comer who took Davey Richards to his limit like a year ago over Firestar, and he's wrestling Public Arena coming up, and he's got Bobby Fish soon, and like that's just going to be an incredible match. This kid is like Shibata, just like he was trained by Seth Rollins. He came down to Firestar, worked it, trained, finished everything up at Firestar. Like really, really solid kid. Let's see what else. We got Tim against Alex Kane. Alex Kane, current MLW champion, heavyweight champion. Just that's just gonna be, man. I can't wait to see that match. Honestly, like I love Tim. I think really work that out for him. And this one, it's gonna be an uphill battle. But yeah. Man, who do I got? I'm gonna put one thing on Tim. I just hope he pulls out the upset. We got 10 on that one. But
that's a hell of an uphill battle. Alex Kane is a monster, dude.
He is a monster. But they know each other, and they've got history. All kind of surrounded with Joe Black down in Georgia, who I also have history with back from CWF Mid-Atlantic, working when he first got into the business. And but Joe has a really nice lineage now, working with Tim, fighting Alex Kane down there in Georgia. So like these guys aren't strangers; they know each other well. It's gonna be really good. They've got what? Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's see. So that's the main match, co-main event. Fish and Sawyer and Kane and Tim. What else do we got? We got Bojack against Trey Havoc. Trey, just a monster of a guy. Bojack, another monster of a guy. Like Bojack, former DPW Deadlock Pro Wrestling champion here locally. Trey Havoc, current next level heavyweight champion. One of the few guys. Bojack's the current UPW champion also, so he's like the champion of the promotion over here. We're at. Trey Havoc is one of the few guys that actually has a win over Bojack. So that's going to be an interesting match to watch, challenging for the heavyweight title there in that promotion. We've got women's championship match, Jada versus Audrey and Amira Rose. And that should be a really good match. Audrey is just she's strong as hell. I don't know if you guys have seen her. Audrey Allen, I think, out of the Ring Wars Carolina training school.
I have not seen
her. She's strong as fuck. She just did a tour with the NWA and AJ Kazanta. I can't say his last name. Anyway, but yeah, Amira Rose, the current Firestar wrestling heavyweight champ, she's in that match, and then Jada Stone and Audrey Allen is that one for the women's title. You've got Love and War, which is Grant Watts and Stephen Meeks against codenamed Flex from Limitless Wrestling. No, Just Wrestling. Did a bunch of stuff with the Control Your Narrative group. And Trey Derula out of Firestar. So that should be a really good match. Those guys, some different styles there. Obviously, we've got my match, tag team championship, myself and Alex, the Brutality against the Divine Dynasty. We're going to wax them. I ain't even worried about that. New champs. And then,
damn, you're going to wax them. Jeez.
Yeah, we're going to wax those kids. Like, they're just not ready for this, man. I'm telling you. Like, and I've fought both of them before. Like, I've been in a tag match with them. I know what to look for. I know what to look forward to. And I'm not worried. Like, I'm not trying to be cocky, but again, I'm very confident, man. I'm already a triple champion. Like, what's one more, right?
Okay. So. A lot of hardware to your return to the ring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing pretty well for a guy that's not really trying to work a lot of places. So
right. I noticed that when you first came back, you're like, I'll work a date here and there, as long as it's not too far up the road. And literally, I think you're working more than I remember you announcing back in the day.
So, all right, so, a lot of that is like kind of imaging. A lot of that is just because I look busy and I share a lot of stuff, and a lot of that is because, like I said, I've got a really cool group of guys that I hang out with that make a lot of content, and they happen to make stuff that's really shareable for me. So I always have content to share. So like I'm just busy. Yeah. Honestly, most of the places that I wrestle at, they have shows like every 3 months or something like that, or every 6 weeks. So it'll be like I'll wrestle 3-4 weeks in a row, and then I've got 2-3 weeks off. And then I'll wrestle 1-2 weeks in a row, and I'll have a week off. And it's not a bad schedule for me, honestly. I like it because it gives more time to the family, and it gives us more time to go, hang out and veg out and do whatever we want to do.
Does that make it harder on your body to recover?
Sometimes. That's the drawback. And then there'll be some weeks where I don't have shows, and my back will just go out on me. Because I got 2 bulges in my back and sciatic. That was another reason why I got out at the time. When I was real overweight, it's hard to keep that in mind. And my back would go out on me all the time. So it was just hard to move. A lot of things were helped by losing the 100 pounds.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So my body's still falling apart, but not as fast.
Yeah, Father Time is undefeated.
Oh, always. always. But man, as long as I can still like keep up with these kids and like do like feel like I'm contributing and feel like I'm pulling off stuff, like I get brought up on certain things sometimes from guys that I don't even know are paying attention, and for them to be like excited about some of the stuff I'm doing, or be like, man, I can't believe that Mark did whatever. You know what I mean? Like I took a poison rana in one of the matches I had recently, and like all of the kids in the back like lost their shit over it because it's me and I never just stuff my shot. You know what I mean? So it's cool to like pop the boys sometimes, but my goal is just off the fans and collect my championships. That's pretty much it. Just have fun, really. That's fun for me. I enjoy it. Much like I can piss off anybody. Good times.
So like Mark said, you can go to upwuncensored.eventbrite.com, October 7th in Raleigh, North Carolina. The address for the venue, I have it right here, is 721 North Raleigh Boulevard. Tickets are on sale now, and it's the code is brutality for 15% off of your tickets. That's pretty cool, by the way.
Yeah, well, it does two things. From a promoter's perspective, it's really smart because you know who's actually drawing money. And from the fans' perspective, they get a discount, from using whatever their favorite wrestler's code is. So it's kind of a double-edged thing. But yeah,
plus you can see who's really selling tickets.
Yeah, who's a draw, like who's really out there like bringing in fans, because that's important. Because a lot of guys think they're a draw and they're not. There's a lot of guys that really think they put a lot of asses in seats, and they don't. And it sucks to be told that sometimes, but these systems really kind of sort that out. And then guys wonder why they don't get pushes or why certain people get pushes. Well, it's because they sell tickets. I mean, that's the long story. They put asses in seats. So.
Amen.
So let's see. We've talked about your early days. We've talked about your retirement. We talked about your return. We've talked about Uncensored. I am curious as to your thoughts on, because you talked about how this is a great time for wrestling, and I want to respect your time, but I am curious your take on the state of affairs currently, not just in the independent scene, as you've already described, Mid-Atlantic wise, we got a lot of hotbeds. What do you think
got all
of
the belts?
Yeah, I mean, right. So if there's a guy that's got the barometer, it's him. So what are your thoughts on AEW and WWE as far as how business is going? Not necessarily great time for a fan, but from a business standpoint, what do you think?
I mean, business is great. I can't see it not being great. Like AEW did what, 70-something, 80-something thousand people.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing pay-per-views every other week basically. They're doing some kind of like huge event or something like that. I feel like I'm getting a pay-per-view like every week for the kids to watch. I swear. But like business is great, man. You've got two huge companies that are doing well on a main platform, that are giving really good contracts to a lot of guys that wouldn't have them otherwise. You know what I mean? Like there's a ton of people on the roster in AEW that would not have a fucking job otherwise. They'd be working at grocery stores, they'd be working at wherever, trying to make ends meet in between doing bookings on the weekends and shit like that. Because New Japan only's got so much room for people. You know what I mean? But legitimately, we got that. New Japan is here in the U.S. doing shows and doing well. Like they're drawing a little bit. As far as wrestling goes, it's a really good time. It's solid for nostalgia. There's enough of the old guys that are still around that are doing things at a decent level. Sting, Christian, Edge, Adam Copeland, whatever, Brian. A lot of the guys that are top guys now are older. They're in their 40s, late 30s, stuff like that. So like, I think it's good. And then the younger generation in this business, they're really smart, and they're smart to the business. They're all going. But, all right, Stan, legitimately, when we first met, we were seeing everybody was getting from Hot Topic, from fucking their buddy down the street buying shit off of eBay. You got people with sneakers, like whatever. every single kid, everybody, professional gear. They've got great promo picks. They've got a media kit. They've got their split, depending on where you're. I'm talking about kids mostly from Firestar, because that's who I work with all the time. You know, and like these kids have their shit together. They're going out and getting bookings and being respectful. Like they're really, really good, smart kids who need to learn more about the business, obviously, because they're still young. You know what I mean? Like their wrestling's not always there. Their character's not always there, that kind of stuff. They're still learning in those aspects. But as far as like professionalism, it's head and shoulders above where I was when I got into it. Like just the fact that they're learning inside a building. Like Firestar's got 2 rings inside this building that they're training kids. At one point they had 3. You know what I mean? This is a small independent promotion in Greensboro, North Carolina. This isn't WWE. We're not at the PC.
Right.
You know what I mean? But Cozone's got 2 rings up there for kids in their training. He's got intermediate classes, basic classes, advanced classes. He's got guys like Isaiah Cassidy coming through. He's constantly doing seminars. He's got Griff Garrison coming down all the time. He had Leo Rush there recently. I mean, he's just constantly doing stuff with these kids, you know, and getting them on the right path. And in turn, you're seeing them get booked on AEW, getting dark matches. He's got guys going to Ring of Honor. There's kids getting signed. Like I said, Malachi just got back from WWE tryout literally last week. There's so much like good stuff going on with these kids, and it's just because they got their shit together. Everybody's got really good video. Like there's no shitty indie feds. I mean, there's a couple, you know what I'm saying? But back in the day, like all of them were, right? Like you would be happy to find, like, if they had barricades in a ring, you would be shocked. But most places just had like a door with a curtain taped up to the wall that would fall off every time you open the fucking door to go out the locker room into the building. You know what I mean? Like it was always some shitty setup. You don't see any of that anymore. Like every single show's got lights and fucking projector and like full camera crews and photo, you know, like promo photos set up in the back, and then you got 2 photographers at ringside, and there's like 2 ring cams, a hard cam. Like it's a production, dude. Like there are Super Jaws out here at shows. They're doing like full live editing as it happens. They're doing live streaming online now. It's like everywhere. All the shit we were doing in Power Pro is just a million times better. You know what I mean? And like it's a full production, and it's all these different places. It's like wrestling's so good now. People just don't understand how. I don't know. It's hard to explain. And if you're not a fan of it, I don't know why. Because there's something out there for everyone now. It's so easy to find something, like anything that you like, any style. There's somebody that represents it. Like it's just really easy to find now. YouTube, you know, on television, MLW, Impact. Impact is killing it right now. Scott Moore back down there booking and all that shit. I don't know. Again, there's just a lot of really good wrestling happening. A lot of really good people doing well too. Savannah Evans got a contract down there. Skylar got a contract at Impact. Like a couple more million people who are just killing it. So it's just really good shit.
Well, and that's what I like when you go to these local feds and stuff. And like we've had the ability and the pleasure to work with a local company and help on the production side of it, you know, and like see from where they grew from their first show to where they did, and now they're in a hiatus. But like you said, you know, one of the talents that brought to my mind was Mad Max. You know, Max Morrison, like he comes and he has the whole thing. Like he has the stand-ups with his merch. He's got a table. It's professional. Like he knows to be at the table selling his merch. Like anytime he's not doing anything, you know, he's out there interacting with fans. And then the other guys I've seen, like the other talent that would come in would see what he has, and they're like, hey, how can I get that? You know, and he's like, let me help you. You know, don't fault with this stuff. Like crawl before you run, and I agree. Like the production value is all there. Like I've seen the shows like you talk about where it's like, okay, here we are. Oh, look, the talent's sitting there smoking a cigarette right before they. Oh, hi. Now you're the main event. Oh, wow. You call yourself road hazard, and you just have, yield taped. Okay, that's bad.
Oh yeah.
To the ones who have, the gear, the gimmicks, and the storylines, and so it's just, I find, like I said before, and I say it all the time, it's just such a good time to be a wrestling fan, because no matter where you are, if you're sitting somewhere and AEW or WWE doesn't come, I guarantee you there's a local fed that comes pretty damn close. Like we have one here that I have yet to go see because it's kind of like, I don't know. But
which one?
What does it stand? TCW?
TCW, Total Championship Wrestling. It's based out of Culpeper, but they have some guys that look like they've actually seen some training, and then there's other guys that will just. It's kind of embarrassing because they're in our hometown, but like they blade themselves all the damn time for no damn reason. Like they do a hardcore spot, and then it's kind of, I don't know. I feel weird because like one of the guys has actually done pretty well for himself, Aristotle, but the rest of the group they just don't seem to get it. I mean, you kind of want to check it out because like you want to see what they're doing in a live sense, and from a production standpoint, I really want to see what they're doing to see if they're even.
We can help them, like
yeah.
I think the group we went with when we were helping them, like our buddy Brian, who's not on here, like he took over the posters, and their posters went from looking, really, our posters went from looking, oh, somebody did that, to damn, that's a pretty good poster.
Yeah.
The videos, the camera, and all that. So it's just like I can see what you mean by growing as you do it.
Again, the business is just at a different level now, and if you're finding places that are like that are kind of, because there's still some feds there's still mud shows, there's still the outlaw and all that shit that's out there, but there's a lot of really good in the area too if you can find that and get out to a place with quality talent and people. It's a lot of training schools that are now just doing shows because promotions have figured that out. And there's so many people that are trying to get into the business now that it's kind of easy to do. They're built-in shows and all that. It's cheaper. But man, like if you find the right place, again, I can't. There's a lot of schools in the area, like AML has a wrestling school here. George South obviously has a wrestling school down in like Charlotte area. They're great. George is incredible. But like for my money, dude, if anybody ever asked me, I told them to go to C2C now. And that's a huge stretch because when he first started this thing, like I was way against it. Like I didn't. He was the guy that should be training all these things. Like what did he know about it and all this stuff? Because I was that kid back then. And then I wrestled like Griff Garrison when he was like 6 months into the business before he got signed by AEW and all that stuff. And I think it was his third match. And the kid did a great job. And like all his basics were there. He knew everything he was supposed to. Like he just did an incredible job. And I was really impressed. And I talked to Cozy then, and I was like, dude, I apologize to him. And I said, man, you're doing a really good job. Good work with these kids. Keep it up. After I met again, Mark Cross and all that stuff, and started seeing a lot of the stuff he was doing with guys like James Ryan, who's another incredible talent from this area. TDT down here, like, I mean, there were so many like really good guys he was putting out, and he's an unknown guy. Like Ozone, you know, he's just really starting to get out there and put his own name out there. But before this, like, nobody knew who LeBron Ozone was, you know, until 5-6 years ago, and that's it. And you guys may still not know who he is. I don't know. But he was a guy that was booking Austin Theory before he went up in WWE. You know, Bobby Lashley's been through Firestar, and he's had Leah Rush there, and David Richards. He's had there's just tons of great talents come to the school and helped out at seminars and stuff like that with these kids. And you know, again, there's a lot more people that are doing it the right way now, which is appreciated from a guy like me. So, kind of tame the bear, I guess, a little bit. I'm off subject.
What's that?
I said I'm off subject.
You're all right. So, I mean,
we don't have a subject.
Hey, we just roll wherever the train falls off the tracks, or something like that. I don't know. Off the rails radio, I think it's what we call it. I don't remember. No, but in all seriousness, Mark, definitely thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. This is it's a true pleasure to do, because like we get a chance to reconnect, obviously, which is cool. For a lot of folks that are listening, some of them may have come from the quote unquote Wrestle Rage days, where it was myself and Corey, and they remember us talking to you from time to time on the air. Those that may have come from the PW 24/7 or Beyond Ringside. I mean, we all met through Twitter. Like, that was how it started, and just shooting the shit about pro wrestling, and that's how we learned about you and Joey Image, Wicked Nemesis, and God, the names just, you were name dropping earlier. I'm just name dropping now. But it's so cool, because like it is neat to see kind of how everybody has grown, because you know Wicked has definitely made a lot of changes in his life. He's doing good. Joey's doing well. He's doing his own streaming thing. He's since retired from in the ring because of his back. But there's just, it's cool to see, and I'm glad that we get to do it in a way that we can share with others, because it's a good reminder that, man, all of that started from just like a small group of like five to 10 people.
Yeah, it's really crazy to see where all of it's gone to. I love that you're still doing the radio thing. I think it's pretty awesome that you're still so involved in doing that. After all it, like, podcasting is such a big thing now. It's cool to have a niche, and again, you guys were doing it years before anybody else was. You know what I mean? Now it's like everybody, brother. My wife had a podcast called Remarkable Conversations that we just shoot shit for like an hour. Sometimes really boring, sometimes it's funny. It's whatever. And we don't care. Like 3 listeners. It's just us like sitting down and talking for an hour each week. But like, you got to make time for stuff like that. And I don't know. I think I'm trying to just figure it out as an adult, and still wanting to wrestle and still get my jollies out of this stuff. It's when I first came back, it was, the kids were really big into it. They're like, yeah, because they hadn't seen it in years. My son was too young. So like, it was a big thing for him. And I had him come out to the ring with me, like one of the first matches that I had. He had a blast. It was really good. But now I'm a heel everywhere, and I'm not gonna have my 10-year-old come out with me when I'm doing that. So he's not really interested anymore.
Yeah, you can't exactly.
10-year-old come out flicking people off.
Well, he, first of all, he wouldn't do it. He sticks up his like pointer finger instead, and that's his version of it. So good on him. He won't curse. He just won't do it. It's the craziest thing. And like, we told him it's cool, like whatever, because we all do. Like, we don't care. it's just language. Like none of that stuff bothers me. There's way more important shit to worry about. Now, obviously, I don't want my kids like cursing people out and stuff like that. We have rules, but it's always like you don't curse at people. You know what I mean? Like you just curse about some shit curse at people, unless they really piss you off. Don't follow my lead in this. I'm a very bad example for a lot of these situations. But yeah. Anyway, like it's definitely.
Oh, hey, I understand. Like I remember one time last year, I was so fed up with some things, and I was like in the car with two of my kids, and I said, sometimes you just got to get. Sometimes you get fed up, and sometimes you just got to say the word fuck.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to let it out. And I'm so and I just said it, and I said, you all can say it. This is your one time. Build it up. Say it. My daughter looked right at me. She's like, fuck. She's 12. My 16-year-old is such a rule follower. He's like, no, I'm not saying it. I'm like, you got to say it. Nope, not doing it. Like, I will let you say it. No one will get in trouble. He's like, nope, not saying it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're it's whatever. Like my son randomly one night he was like playing video games, and quick story about him. But some kid pissed him off, and he said something. He said shit. I don't even understand the context of what he said. But he like texted me. I was sleeping. He texted me. He goes, Dad, I said shit. And I'm like, okay, are you all right? Like it's whatever to me, it's a thing because he knows better. He's not like he even know if he's doing that. But it back to wrestling stuff. It's really cool, to get back into it with them, have a family come out sometimes and be able to see what I do. They hate the long drives as much as I do now, so like I always try and limit the 3-4 hour trips as much as possible. I'd rather stay local as possible. It's because I'm old, man. I just don't feel like doing it. It's not a fun day for me anymore to wake up at like 6 in the morning and drive 8 hours to a show and then sit at a show all day. It's just sucks. And then drive another 8 hours back home or get a hotel and drive back the next day. I don't mind the hotel part if you can like put it into like a trip or something like that. And I don't know that shit.
But that's got to be really cool, though, to have something that you've done in the past, and then like you're probably talking about it with your kid, and your kid probably like not really understanding that you did what he's watching on TV, and then to actually show him and he can experience, like that's something that, like as I said earlier, like I used to do a lot of theater and stuff, and like my kids, like my oldest saw me on stage. Like when I was doing it, he actually thought I was the yellow wiggle for a while. Like he's like, you're the, and he'd watch the Wiggles and then he'd be like, Daddy. And I'm like, oh no, I wish I had that money. But, and I remember, I don't know if you remember the old TV show Chips from back in the day. Yeah. Like they did a reunion movie back in '99 and they interviewed the guy who played John Baker. And he's like, he's like, I got married for the second time. We have young kids and they don't understand that Daddy was on a TV show and used to have action figures. He's like, so to do the movie, they brought out action figures. And he's like, they finally got to go to Toys R Us and find Daddy on the shelf. And he's like, that was a cool feeling. And that's so great. Yeah, for you going out there and for your kids to be able to see the character that you make and the people react to it, it's just got to be an awesome feeling.
Well, yeah, it's really cool unless you're the bad guy all the time, and then your kid's pissed off at you. And that's not as fun. So, like, all right, so Victor Andrews and I have been going at it UPWA in Wilmington, North Carolina, and he was in a cage match with Jake Logan for the title, and he was crawling out of the cage, and me being the guy I am, tried to help him out of the cage until I slammed the door in his head and he lost the match. He was a little upset at me. Now, what I didn't know at the time was my son was in the corner watching all this happen, and he saw me grab Dick's arm, and he got really excited. And then when I slammed that door in his head, my son was pissed.
Oh, you went heel on your son.
Yeah, man, he was livid. And so there's always that fine line that you got to play a little bit sometimes. And he'll, he understands. He gets it. We have talks. You know what I mean? Like he understands what I have to do sometimes. And he doesn't stay mad at me long. But, usually in the moment, he's like, Dad, I can't believe you did that. That kind of shit. But, it is what it is.
That's got to be a cool feeling when he's pulled in and he's identifying and he's like in the moment.
Oh yeah, that makes it all worth it. You know what I mean? But what's that, like? You're never their like favorite wrestlers. You know what I mean? The guys on TV they still all get the shine. You're like, I do the same thing, and it doesn't matter.
but you're not John Cena. But you're not Finn Balor.
Yeah. But I mean, it's cool. It's cool that they've been around it so much. Like Noah, our daughter is, she grew up with Charlie, seeing him all the time, or Cameron Grimes now, there. I used to wrestle Trevor all the time when he was 15 years old. So, seeing Cedric Alexander all the time, Adam Page all the time, Casey Knight, and then Max, what have you. So, like, there's so much. Again, there's so many guys that we saw and that I was around all the time, and they got to grow up with. So it's a pretty cool experience for the kids. But my son was like, I think he was like 5 when I stopped. So he was 4 when I stopped wrestling. He was around wrestling literally from 2 weeks old up until he was 4, all the time.
Wow.
So, like, he was, we had the baby. We were at CWF 2 weeks later. I had a spot where Chase Dakota called me out. You can see this on YouTube. Chase Dakota called me out while I was sitting in the crowd and talked about shit. I slid the ring, beat his ass in like seconds for his title. And that was like my son's kind of first wrestling show after being born. But yeah, like from then on, he was at shows every weekend almost. And like we were always driving all over the place and things like that. When he turned 4, I stopped. So he never really got to see it. You okay? But yeah, and then like CM Punk is coming back, and there's a huge buzz around AEW at the time, and that drew both my kids back into wrestling. To be honest, like just they were kind of into AEW anyway, because it's like the new, so it's great for them. And but Punk was coming back, so it was a huge deal. And my daughter was really stoked about it because she loved Punk back in the day, and that got my son stoked about it. And then from there, it was like, oh, Dad, you should wrestle because I have, a couple of guys, all that. So, again, it's really cool, man. It's nice to be able to be back into it, to be able to put my creative stuff and kind of inspire a lot of young kids. I told somebody recently I've got like kids in the business now, and I really do. Like, there's a lot of kids that, like I said, Will Huckabees and Joe Blacks of the world, and their kids that they've kind of mentored out and stuff like that. The kids now from Firestar are like third generation. But everybody's 6 degrees of separation from Mark James in this area somehow. So sorry.
They ought to call it like 6 degrees of Manny Fernandez. Seems like everybody's had a run-in with him.
Everybody's had a run with Manny. Manny kicked the shit out of Royal. All because I didn't kick him hard enough.
Oh, damn.
I ran at him. Yeah, I ran at him and went to kick him, and it worked. And And yeah, Manny, great guy. You learn a lot of lessons the hard way back then, and there wasn't a lot of guys that were willing to take the time to really teach you. They just wanted to kind of beat you up. Sorry. And it was really shitty. It was not a great time in the wrestling business, and like going back and looking at things. I think this is a generation. People talk about how like this generation of kids are soft and stuff like that, but I think this is a generation that like understands they don't want to deal with that bullshit that we had to when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't see the need. Like I've been able to teach a lot of kids, but I'm beating the hell out of them the way I got beat up when I was coming up in this business. And I've been able to do a lot and get a lot across to kids that are well more talented than I'll ever be in a few years. Like I'm telling you, man, Blade Brown, look him up. That kid's really good. Can't say enough good things about him. Jay Malachi, look him up. Jackson Drake, Oliver Sawyer. Like, look these kids up if you have a chance. Alex Evans is, just all really, really solid young talent that are coming out of this area. Huge things. Grant Watts. Grant Watts got picked up on Gresham's new bet that he's got going on.
Oh, nice.
Him and the Broncos owner are going up there.
Okay.
But yeah, and like all these guys are like 2 years into business. Well, not Malachi and Drake. They've been around for a while. They were like they're now, and Malachi, barely 20 years old.
Damn.
Well, don't feel bad that your son likes other people, because I watched an interview with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his favorite race car driver was not Dale Earnhardt. It was Jimmy Means.
That's probably why he was a shitty racer.
So.
Like he liked the underdog, and everybody's like, "Dude, you're dad." He's like, "Dad was dad,"
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that too. They see me all the time. But my buddy Daniel, like I'll pop out some random story or like talk to him about some time like where I worked Paige or where I worked like Jose or somebody like that back in the day, or Cedric or whatever. Or it's just a random wrestling story, or like a time where you were drinking in the bar with like Manny Fernandez, and Terry Funk, and Terry Valentine, and David All. Like it was just random shit. And like certain people understand that and they're like, oh wow, that's really cool. Like how I don't know, like how is that just a nonchalant thing for you? But it just happened all the time. Like you were always in those situations back then. Those people were just kind of your peers. It was really cool. And that's the same situation with the kids. Like they see you all the time. They don't see the superstar. They just see, dad's going to work and he's dragging you into this thing. Yeah, the match is cool and all that stuff, but afterwards you're dad again. Can we go to Waffle House? I'm hungry. Like they don't give a shit. None of that matters. Oh, you got a belt? Awesome. Are you okay? Are you limping? Are you gonna be okay? All right, cool. Can we go eat? So,
or maybe they hope you get a couple shots in just because you grounded them or something. Hit him again.
Dude, I don't have to do it. I'll tell you the truth, man. Like, I'd love to. I love to say I'm just like tooting my own horn or whatever here, but man, my kids are fucking great.
Yeah.
I don't have any. They're getting in trouble in school. They're like, my daughter graduated 6 months early. She knows 5 languages. She's like super intelligent, just really, really awesome. Chris, super smart, old, like teachers saying nothing but great things about him in class. I don't have issues. It's not a problem, and we just, we raise really good kids, and they're smart. They know their shit, and they understand how to respect other people and how to take care of themselves. And that's all I really care about in the world. You know what I mean? As long as we're able to do that and inspire this next generation to be better, then we work and not have to deal with the bullshit. But I don't have to deal with my don't have to be an asshole to them. I never have to ground my kids. Like, I have a conversation with them. We understand what happens. They don't do it again. Like, that's literally it. If you treat them like you expect to be treated, and like you treat your children not like adults, because they're still kids, obviously. But if you treat them with respect, then they give you respect. It's really a funny situation how that works out. But they're give you shit. You don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, they're not. My kids aren't trying to sneak out and go to parties. Shit. Like, they're just not that kind of kids. So it's nice, and it takes a lot of pressure off of you as a parent that you don't have to worry about this kind of thing. I don't have to worry about them getting in trouble and out on the streets and all that shit my parents had to worry about with me back in the day. Yeah. And we didn't even have cell phones, guys. Like, for real. We were just let loose to go do whatever at 14, like 12, 13, 14 sometimes, whatever. Back then. I remember when I was a kid in Jersey, I would ride a bike up to Carvel Ice Cream, which was like all right. So where I lived in Jersey, yeah, have you guys seen like Chasing Amy, all the Kevin Smith films? Like, you've seen all of it?
Yeah.
All right. So in Clerks, like the Quick Stop, do you remember that?
Of course.
Okay. I lived literally like a mile and a half from there in Jersey.
Oh, dude.
Cool.
That is cool.
Okay. So like we could ride our bikes up to that, like up to that area, and there was like an ice cream shop up that way, but we would have to ride down through. Now I'm like 5, 6 years old, but our parents didn't give a shit. You just had to be home by a certain time. Like, none of that mattered. Kids nowadays aren't like that, you know, and they're not trying to. Well, first off, they can't be out. They get shot most times. Like, something stupid will happen in the area or whatever. But like, they're just trying to be in and do whatever. My kids have always just again, like, they've just always been really good kids. So it's never been a situation where like I don't have to yell at them. I don't have to, you know, I don't have to repeat myself to them or anything like that. There's no like, dad's not gonna like smack the shit out of them. We're not violent towards them or anything else. We just, you know, we have set expectations. You know, we hold them to expectations.
I'll tell you what,
Sorry.
man. No.
I apologize.
You're absolutely nothing wrong with anything you're saying, man. I'm blown away, and I'm so appreciative of you just kind of sharing with us and hanging out with us. You're always, of course, welcome here, so you never have to worry about that. If we can get you back into the podcast world, in the wrestling scene, because I know you have the wife, and that's cool. But, you know, you might get that bug back.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know,
Come
man.
back anytime.
I appreciate it. I like doing stuff like this. Like I said, I'll jump on to my friend's podcast, the Live Laugh Larry podcast, from Good Guys Bad Pants guys, and that's Daniel and the guys I keep bringing up. But you know, I'll jump on with them every once in a while. We talk all the time. It's really easy to get into. I don't know, man. I'm not sure. Like, the wrestling podcast host is my thing, but I just like to talk sometimes, so I get into it. Yeah, maybe. I think I make a really good like special guest for sure.
Maybe we'll bring you on from time to time, and you can come in character and just smack down Stan for an hour.
What the fuck? Why is he gonna smack me? What the fuck?
Yeah, man. The best part about the character that I do now, like the Brute, is, first of all, it's just me. Like, it's so me, and I was diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder a few years ago, and like Brute is literally that like Mr. Hyde version of me. You know what I mean? And like, I've learned to control that version of me as much as possible now, but outside the ring. So like my whole thing is, I don't have to be a dick to everybody, even though I'm a heel. Like, I can still be respectful to people. I can still be cordial to people, and you know, thank people and stuff like that. Like, fans always come up to me at shows and are thankful, and, you know, tell me I had a good match or whatever, or they'll buy merch and I'll thank them for it, because I'm not an asshole. Like, I can't pull off the MJF thing where he's just kind of now he's not a baby, but ways that he always stick to fans sometimes. Sometimes I can do that, but most times I'm just a respectful guy, that kind of shit. But if I'm in the ring, totally different situation, because that guy's standing in the way of me getting that winner's purse. That guy's standing in the way of me accomplishing the goal that I have, which is to win that damn match, to win and earn another championship in another organization. So I'm gonna fuck that guy up, plain and simple. And if you like that guy, oh fuck well. If you shit off of that, yeah, I'm gonna give you shit back. That's just how it is. Like, that's the kind of heel that I am. So it's fun for me that I don't always have to be an asshole to be in character, but I can always snap into it hard. And I've got enough presence, especially in this area, that people know not to fuck with me like that. It's fun. it makes things a lot of fun, especially around matches where, like, you'll get that guy in the crowd that's like a little too loud, and you'll see fans start to clue them in on who you are. Real quick. So it's some of that's a good time. But yeah, man, I enjoy everything I do. I think merch wise, like, I've never really had merch like I do now. Where I make stuff now. Like, we've got a printing business out of the house. My wife does like tumblers and shirts. Like, we've got a white toner printer here. We've got a sublimation printer and all that stuff. Not like vinyl and bullshit. But yeah, so I'm making a lot of merch for guys now. So it's really easy, and I've got all that stuff. Again, I should have did all this like 10, 12 years ago. Everything I'm doing. But hindsight's 2020, and now I can be more efficient at it, and have more fun and be able to spend some time with more friends and family and do this creatively. And it's more fun to me to do it with friends. Like, it's really cool to have guys like Alex and Daniel and Christian that I talk to all the time that are like really creative guys that we can always bounce things off of each other and get a lot done that way. So it's always cool. It keeps everything fresh. It gives me different perspectives, I think, about wrestling. Christian's a really smart guy when it comes to like booking and stuff like that too. So it's fun to like bounce stuff off of him and bounce stuff off of me sometimes. But yeah, man, that's the whole thing, is just being able to be creative and just have a good time now in wrestling is my only goal. I appreciate guys like you for bringing me on to let me ramble and talk your ears off for a couple hours. So
it's my pleasure to do it, man. And hey, you can catch up with Mark at Real Mark James literally everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. You're on Instagram as well, TikTok. By the way, your TikToks are great. Those are fun to follow. If you get a chance, check those out. United Pro Wrestling, October 7th, uncensored. There's going to be a rundown show on Facebook on Wednesday, and they'll be going over the card a little bit, as from what I'm seeing here on the social media. But you go to Eventbrite. It's uncensored.eventbrite.com for tickets. You could put the coupon code of Brutality, get 15% off. Mark has also, before we let him go, one of the coolest T-shirts in wrestling right now. It's called "Fuck Around and Find Out." I think that should be like the damn that should be like literally the catchphrase for everything you do, sir.
Yeah, well, it's my daughter named my spine buster. We were trying to come up with, everybody just called him spine buster. So, and I asked her, I was like, "What would you name it?" That's what she came up with. Fuck Around and Find Out.
Nice.
And then again, my buddy Daniel from the Good Guy Bad Pants, he's like a really creative like graphic designer, and like he's making all the. So he made that with my logos and everything in there for the use, which is really cool. But yeah, and that like that shirt is like, it sells like crazy. It's awesome. I love it. More wrestlers. I've had some fans get it. Some women are like, "Oh my god," and some men are like, "Oh my god," because they're prudes. But whatever. you
said
get
because they're
man.
prudes.
Yeah, I said that. You wrestle in the Bible Belt. You deal with a lot of that shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I mean that's fine, but I'm not for everybody. I don't want to be for everybody. I want to be for the people that I'm for, and that's it. They know they can understand what I'm doing and they feel it. So for those people, I appreciate it. I do this for them all the time. For the prudes and the stuck-up assholes out there that want to come around and criticize everything. But yeah, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate those guys like designing stuff for me, making some really cool stuff. Like you talk about design, I got to put over the guy. You know, but again, it helps. I run a printing, makes things really easy. If anybody needs.
Well, Mark, thank you again for giving us your time, man. I definitely appreciate it. You've been more than gracious. I know that you're kind of an early bird now.
Yeah, I need to get to bed. I appreciate it, man. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks
Come back
again, Mark,
anytime.
for joining us. Catch up with Mark at Games on Facebook.
Hello. You can catch up with everybody, Real Mark James, on every platform. You can catch up with the show at Corner to Corner Wrestling Radio. You can catch up to Stan at Stan Grub C2C, and I went outside and got disconnected on everything. Stan likes.
Gotta love Skype.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. That's the cleanest closeout you've ever done, buddy. That's really good.
You did a great job. You jumped right in for you. Keep him around. Solid.
I'm impressed.
Hey, I don't do anything else for the show. Might as well do that.
All right, guys. Seriously, I got to run. I really do appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. But
Thank
yeah,
you,
I got to take off. Thanks, man. See ya.
See ya.
Well, there you have it. Mark James. What an interview, dude. That's an easy one. These conversations are just easy to have with that guy.
I like it. It was great. Great fun. Are we still on?
We're still on. We're just wrapping up and finishing up here. Unfortunately, I had to grab the dog real quick before she decided to try to take a leak on the carpet.
Right. Well, we got WWE Fastlane on this weekend.
Saturday,
Shinsuke taking on Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
And many other matches. I don't know, but enjoy, have fun. We'll recap on next Monday.
That's right. We'll go over Wrestle Dream next Monday when Brian's back, where we can kind of lay it out. We'll talk about the move from WWE to AEW for one Adam Copeland,
the Rated R superstar.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed to see that they got not just his song Metalingus, but also the Rated R superstar. I kind of figured WWE would have held on to that.
Well, I think that I don't think they could get, there's certain things I don't think they can copyright. Like the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, like he can just call himself that, but yeah. But it was a great show. Had fun and can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, man. So let's see. Rob already went through the rundown, but yeah, catch up with your boys on the Twitter bot at C2C Radio Show, C2CRadioshow.com. Rob's at Rob for C2C. I'm at Stan Grubb C2C. Did you get to Brian?
No, Brian's at Vlad Dragul C2C. That is.
That's VLADDRAGOOL C2C.
Blah, blah, blah.
And he's not here to say. He doesn't say that. Oh, man. Trying to race back to my computer so I can literally click the stop button. But
dog's like, I gotta pee.
Right. Like she's sitting there squatting. I'm like, no, you don't. Had to throw my AirPods in real fast. Managed to avoid any kind of messes.
There you go. Glad I bet the listeners are really happy to hear that.
Well, hey, I mean, they want to hear real life. They don't want to hear about. They don't want to hear about wrestling. They want to hear what happens in Stan Grubb's life. Oh man, oh man. All right, come on, dog. You've managed to distract the audience long enough. Surprised she didn't bark while we were doing the interview. Come on, get out of there.
I like the 1980 screen door you got there.
Dude, it is the worst. I need to get like some WD-40 and take care of it.
Don't go upstairs.
Well, I mean, it's October. It's Halloween season, so step into the parlor or whatever the fuck. See, I'm not really a horror movie aficionado. So,
I gotcha.
Come on, dog, get in here. Really? Hold that progress. All right, that's enough work. Thank you so much.